to find right tenants for the right time and for the right property. So we definitely are looking for strong candidates as in tenants, property managers, and anybody that's supporting it. I am proud to present from Dickey's Properties. We are a new property management company that we will be opening July 1st. And we are going to have our ribbon cut in July 1st. In April 2021, we are going to introduce our new home buyer program, which is going to transition tenants into home buyers. And what this program is going to allow is allow tenants to become strong candidates for home buying. And you can definitely always reach us on our Facebook at Dickey's Properties, and that's Dickeys Properties. We are located at 3385 Bailey Avenue. Our number is 716-342-2407. Our prayers is with everybody during this pandemic. And I am thankful that we do have courageous people in our city that is making it happen for us. I want to thank all our essential workers, all our frontline workers that's out there making it happen during this trying time. Stay safe, be blessed. Most importantly, wear your mask, wash your hands, and social distance. Thank you, Rashied.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much again for your sponsorship today. Thank you for joining us with those words. Nini will go ahead and pin your information down in the comments, so those interested in learning more about you can do so. Those interested in getting more information about the upcoming, I believe it's your open house you're having, she will share that information as well. And we are most grateful for your sponsorship. Remain safe. Look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you again. All right, my good friends. So I will be very honest. I am so very excited about this conversation about estate planning and about financial planning. I started talking about it on live today, and people went bananas, right? They were going crazy saying like, give me your information. I want to talk to him. Where can I reach? What was that lady you told me about? What's her name? What's her phone number? And here's the reality that we are dealing with a global pandemic, and it's shutting down people's lives. You know, I know a number of people who are now unemployed, 2-family households, both of the parents lost their jobs. The child is home, right? They thought they were sending their child off to college. No, they're upstairs in the bedroom, spending time with you because colleges are shut down. Restaurant workers are home. And what we're seeing is essential workers on the front lines more often than they expected to be. And there are people at home, and many of them are afraid about where this is going. Many of them feel bleak about what's going on, right? And what we see for sure is they're now watching more TV. The issue for this week, of course, is what happened in Minnesota, like an outright murder that we saw for 5 or 7 or 10 minutes, however long you could stomach it. And people saying, what do we do next? I feel powerless. I don't know where to go with this. What do I do? Right? And I think the conversation today is a money conversation, but for me, the conversation is really an empowerment conversation. I'm going to introduce our esteemed panel because I think that in one way or another, I've relied and do rely on each one of them for their counsel for my own money and my own legal career about how to navigate. So I want to introduce them now, starting in no particular order with Naima Quinney up in the right corner. Naima Quinney is, among other things, she is a life, and correct me if I'm wrong here, life insurance representative, right? A senior representative with Inspire Wealth. My understanding of what you do over at Inspire Wealth, you certainly talk to them about how to get the right kinds of life insurance for their needs, but then you expand into other areas of coverage, which I'm sure you will cover today. But I think the initial conversation is probably a life insurance conversation. The next guest that I have is Joel Moore. Joel Moore is an attorney here in Buffalo, New York, and Joel has been practicing law for, correct me if I'm wrong, at least 10 years, correct? Okay, at least 10 years. He is currently over at Erie County Surrogates Court. When I have a question about, hey, Joe, this person passed away and I've got some dicey fact pattern. What do you think about this? I know you can't give me legal advice, but how about some direction on how I look at this? Or other people, can I send this person your way who is fighting with their sibling about the estate? In one case, there was a brother and another brother fighting about a brass bed, and it got really, really, really nasty. And it sounds like, yeah, I know. It sounds like, hey, why can't you all decide who gets the bed? But it became full-on litigation. And what Joel does over there is give families the comfort that they need in one of the most difficult times in their life. And usually they haven't come to see somebody like Naima first. So they have a money problem right now, and they have a what happens next problem. And usually when people pass away, you want to have a moment to digest that all. And Surrogate's Court is the total opposite. You got to put yourself aside and get work done. So he'll talk about that process. Immediately to his right, I have Linda Banks. Linda Banks, among other things, is an advisor over at Axe Advisor. She advises in finances. I talked about her earlier on my live. When I met her about 6 years ago, I literally had about $500 to invest, and I was ashamed about it. I'll be very honest with you all. I was like, I can't be sitting down with a financial advisor with a 3-digit figure. Like, she deals with high net worth people, and I got $500. It's the most important $500 to me, but it's an insult to somebody in that arena. And one of the things that I really, really respect and loved was she said, well, let me just look at your file. Let's just sit, I won't charge you for a consultation. Let's just sit down and talk about it. Maybe you're right. $500 is not very much. Let's sit down and talk about it together. And how we say about hairdressers, the right hairdressers putting their hands on your hair will make it grow and breathe life into it, right? We say that often. I feel like the love and the respect that she put on that $500 has done wonders for not just my financial life, my outlook on what a little looks like, because with the right guidance, a little can become a lot. And so I know she's going to share a lot of guidance on that. And last but certainly not least, we have Terrence DuBois on with us as well. Terrence is a regional vice president with his own company, I believe. I believe that he works in partnership with Naima and some others, but his primary focus is financial advisement, right? And I want to touch on this because some people said, well, why would you have two financial advisors on? Isn't that going to be disrespectful to one or the other one? And my answer was no. As I sit on the live today, I have the most respect for both of them, because in my own ways, I've called on them to ask them about investments that I'm doing or thinking about doing, or I've said, you know what, I'm sending somebody your way. I feel so good about what you have done for me. Now here's a person I'm sending. And I've done that in both cases. I think the most respectful thing you can do to show somebody you appreciate them in that arena is refer them. So I think they both are great at what they do. I think they both bring a wonderful perspective to the conversation, and I welcome them both. And I think both perspectives are needed here today. So now I want to pitch a question over to you guys, because it's come up multiple times, and it came up today in the live. Many of the guests said, I don't have money for a financial advisor. How can I think about investing right now when I can barely pay lights and gas and for my basic needs? And now you're telling me to find $100, $500, $1,000 to invest. So I'm going to pitch this one over to Terrence first. Terrence, tell the viewers why $50 is not a measly $50, but it's a step going towards empowerment.
Correct. And I think everyone should sit down with, whether it's going to be Naima, Linda, or myself. But the thing is, I spoke about $50 earlier, but then I even thought about there's some different mutual funds that you can even basically invest in as little as $25 per month. So if you break that down into a daily amount, that's roughly what, $1.25 per day. So if people really analyze their budget, and what we do, we sit down with people and basically educate them first. And then from that point, we try to free up money within their budget or things that they're already paying for. So it's how, well, hey, we looked at your budget and you basically spend, $50 a month at Tim Hortons or Starbucks getting coffee.
if we can basically, we're not saying, hey, stop doing it immediately, but just saying, you know what, instead of basically going every day, go every other day. Now use that $25 to basically start putting into an investment. And a lot of people thinking, hey, you know what, it costs a lot of money to start investment, but it really doesn't. You know, so as little as $25, you can go ahead and get started with a mutual fund. And I think everyone can free up that within their budget or find $25, whether it's for a kid or whomever it is. Like everyone needs to basically start planning for a retirement right now, or even if it's just to save for, you know, a special occasion.
And Linda, for the people who say, oh, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you with that. $25, $50. I want to see a result right now. You're talking to me about let it grow for a year. Let it grow for 5 years. I want a result today. Talk to those folks. What do you say to them? Oh, did I lose you? Are you?
Wait a minute. I was muted.
Oh,
So that's a great question, and we do get that a lot. And I totally agree with Terrence on, we sometimes have to help and educate clients to take a step back. Let's see what your budget looks like. What are you spending on? What are you overspending? A lot of times the right advisor is a person who can take a long-term approach to looking at spending and helping them find the extra $25 or $50. For example, a lot of people are paying, you know, a certain amount for, let's just say, auto insurance, or their home is not bundled with their auto. I don't do property and casualty, but I know that in working with those professionals, I was advised that every 2 to 3 years, you should quote those out. Let them rerun your driving history. You know, you're now older. Maybe things have come off your DMV. So again, I find that once you sit down with someone and they are on a tight fixed income or a budget, they may be overspending. And it's taking that time to sit down, look at those line items, and then help everyone realize, because we take time with spending, doing the plan is, okay, you know your fixed expenses, but what you sometimes don't account for are those birthday parties, weddings, those things that are going to come up during the year. Oh yeah, there's another bridal shower. Why do we always get invited to these, right, women? Well, men too, because now you have, you know, gender reveals and whatever the event is, somebody's asking, you know, not asking, but normally the requirement is to, you know, bring a gift of some sort. So those gifts, those, you know, things people don't realize that's in their budget, and we can help educate them on spending. I think Terrence was right on. It starts with the budget. It starts with the spending. A lot of times people are overspending. Do you still have cable, or have you upgraded to, you know, DirecTV? And now do you have, you know, the streaming devices? You know, what does your phone plan look like? Is everybody in the house on a different plan? All those things is where we can help clients, and where we start, then they feel empowered and we've freed up some money potentially to invest.
Okay. Okay. I love that answer. Naima, you are here in a number of capacities, but on the life insurance end, right? For the folks saying, thank you, Linda. Thank you, Terrence. Sounds great. Sounds like something you all are doing with your own families. Why life insurance? What is so bad about the GoFundMe? It's working for other people. You tell me I want to get life insurance? Tell me why that GoFundMe is not the right answer.
GoFundMe is not the right answer, because most of the time, well, with GoFundMe, you're relying on other people to donate to your cause. And especially during a time like now, where so many people are out of work, people don't have that extra $10, $25 to donate to someone else. They're saving it because they're not sure, you know, if they'll be going to work, or if they'll be getting their unemployment check so that they can buy groceries and provide for their own families. It's just a bad practice to rely on others when you can do it for yourself. And so life insurance allows you to take care of those things for yourself and for your loved ones. So that's why you don't want to rely on the GoFundMe.
And Mr. Moore, who's here from Erie County Surrogates Court, right? For the folks who are joining us and have thought about these other issues. You're telling me to get life insurance. Linda's saying, let's look at my expenses because I don't, maybe I could find some room to grow for investments. Now, on top of that, I've got to pay you to get my mother's house. It's my mother's house. Why are you going to tell me? Who are you to tell me I have to come to you?
So, basically, the law is set up that way. I don't know that I'm anyone to tell anyone to do anything in particular, but it kind of ensures a steady transition of assets from one generation to the next. And what it does is it either automatically triggers that if you don't have a will, or you can dictate how you want that to be transferred with a few limitations if you do have a will. But the advantages, and what you'll often actually see, is a parent, a grandparent, whatever the case may be, passes away, and someone else lived in the house that the grandparent or the parent owned. And we're 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, and they're thinking about maybe getting rid of that property. Now, in their mind, they own that property, right? They've been in it, they've invested in it. It's theirs. As far as the law is concerned, that's not their home. That home is still in the name of that individual who owned it who was deceased. And in fact, the estate of that individual owns that home. So what happens is when you go down there and you say, all right, I want to sell this home, I need to get the deed transferred over, the court will look at you and say, you don't have authority to do that. It's not yours. It's still in the name of this estate. And so what you find is now you need to get that property transferred over to you. Oftentimes you have siblings and you all are equally vested in that home, which means you not only have to sign off on the sale of it, but your siblings may have to sign off on the sale of it. Or if one of your siblings has passed away, their children. There's several steps that sometimes come into play. And the initial caution I want to give to you all is when someone passes away, you really do need to come to surrogate court and get the process started in terms of transferring assets, because sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with it. And oftentimes it's a little bit more complicated when the answer is later in 10, 15 years down the road, when you need to move quickly to accomplish something, you can't, because there are all these steps that have to be taken that should have honestly been taken 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, so wait a minute now. Wait a minute. I'm a viewer. I hear this. Wait a minute. You all are blowing my mind with this. You're going to sit here and tell me my grandmother's house that I've been in for the last 15 years, she has passed away and I don't own it? I'm paying all the electric bill. I'm paying the gas bill. Me and my kids live here. I have decorated the basement. Okay, I put my cute sheets on the bed and I don't own this house. Are you kidding me right now? I don't own the house?
Well, I'll give you two current examples, I think, with me and my extended family. So one is a piece of advice. If your name is not on the deed, be very careful about investing in that property, because the law views that as a gift. Right? So oftentimes someone will come back and say, once again, I've put $20,000 into this home over the last 10 years. It needed air conditioning. It needed a new roof. It needed a new driveway. It needed a fence. And that's all well and good. But what you've ultimately done is given that money away, because it's not just your home. If your siblings own it and they don't want to recognize the investment that you've made, ultimately you've done that on behalf of your siblings. Or whoever else has a vested interest in the home. So before your name is officially on the deed, I would recommend that you not invest in the home, or you make some sort of agreement with whoever else has a interest in the home. The second thing I would say is, it's funny how these types of things go. So I was discussing some things with my family the other day and hadn't really thought about it. My father passed several years ago. And I thought about it, and I have 1/12 interest in a home that I had not really thought about, as does my brother, because my father was one of 6 siblings. The home's still in the family's name, and whenever my family gets ready to move on that house, my brother and I are going to have to sign off on that house, because even though we're not actively involved in that home, they can't, my family can't move that home without all the interested parties signing in. So sometimes you end up vested in something that you hadn't really thought you had any interest in, but that's the way it works. It drops down to that next generation, and all of those parties that are interested have to sign off before that property can be moved. So yeah, you definitely got to do that.
So I think it's time for Cousin Me to jump in and tell us our first prize winners. And then we got to go back into this mind-blowing session, because I know some of and I hope that they're commenting, this sounds wrong.
All right, so we're going to give away our first group of essential worker winners. Earlier, we did announce that Hakeem Hicks was a winner. He works for the Buffalo Fire Department. The other names for this category will be Darren McDuffie. He works for the Buffalo Police Department. You got Tyrell J. Edwards. You have Angelo Threets, Derek Floyd, and Quinn Salil Saunders. Buffalo Police Department, Buffalo Fire Department, and so on. All right, our essential workers.
Congratulations, congratulations.
What you saying, baby? I don't hear you.
Is Solar on mute?
You on mute.
Solar. No, she's not on mute for missing, because the music's playing.
She might have muted herself.
Yeah, she may have. All right, so let's jump back into this conversation, right? Because I want to, Joe has luxuriated us with some, I'm sure, very disappointing news, and I'm sure the viewers are absolutely disgusted. And so let's go back to Naima, because then I want to take some time with Linda and Terrence. Naima, I am married to my spouse, who I love dearly. We have a 10-year marriage. We divorce, but they are on the life insurance. Should I do anything? Do I leave it alone? You'll just fix it, right? Maybe Joel. We'll send it to Joel at County Circuits Court and he'll fix it. Like, what do we do with that?
Well, if you're married, it really all boils down to who your beneficiaries are, because you can be married to someone and leave your money to someone else. And so just to keep it spicy for you. So it really boils down to your beneficiaries. But if your ex is your beneficiary, you're going to want to change that. Okay. One thing to remember is sometimes when you are buying a life insurance policy with your spouse, you can opt for that life insurance policy for the beneficiaries not to be able to be changed. So if that's what you two decided on when you purchased the policy, regardless of if you are divorced or not, then you're stuck with that. But if that wasn't the option that you chose, you can change your beneficiaries at any point, whether you stay married or not.
So we can digest that for the viewers. If you're married and you get a divorce, but you want your ex-wife, ex-husband to continue to get the life insurance benefits, you can, through Naima, who represents, right, the life insurance piece of it, tell her, I don't care if we get a divorce, still give it to them.
Right. You don't even have to do anything. Your beneficiaries have already been noted on your policy at time of purchase. And so when you pass on, they will be given the benefit.
And now let's pull over to Joe really quickly before I come back to Linda and Terrence. Joe, because some of the viewers hear that and they say, well, I thought in New York State, divorce terminates all that stuff. If they're in my will, they're gone. They're on my life insurance, they're gone. Now, this sounds different. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely not. So just to give you a background, because I'll be touching on this at various points when I get a question, ultimately a set of instructions, right? It's a set of instructions for what to do with your things when you pass on. Now, like any set of instructions, it's a picture in time, right? Things change. When I was 15, I looked different than when I was 25 different than 35. If I wrote my will 20 years ago, what was applicable then may not be applicable now. But the law doesn't entertain the notion that things change, i.e. you're no longer married. If your husband or your wife or a kid that you no longer get along with, or whomever you left, I don't know, you left money to the church and you moved to a different church, all these different eventualities, if those are no longer applicable, the law is not going to try and figure out what applies and what doesn't. What that sheet of paper says that you signed off on controls, which is why it's pivotal that you not only, I would recommend you not only get a will, but you have to come back to that will as time goes on and update it depending on what's going on with your life. We literally will see wills that were signed in the 70s, right? People live very long sometimes. What they wanted 50 years ago is probably very different than what they may have wanted now. People who they wanted in charge of their will, their fiduciaries, may no longer be living now, and they may want someone else in charge, or the person who they wanted in charge of their will 50 years ago, they don't mess with anymore, right? They need somebody else in charge at this point. So because of all of that, you need to go back to your will and update it. Whatever you wrote the last time is what's going to control.
Now, and I think that's a great point. And for Linda and Terrence, when you sit your clients down, and I know because I've had that moment with you, right? You say, I know you come with this question about your financial plan, but let's look at your entire estate, right? Let's look at whether you have a power of attorney in place. Let's look at whether you have a living will in place. Let's look at whether you have a last will and testament in place, right? When they come to you, I'm a spouse, for example, because that's the question on the table. And you know what? I want to have a private consultation with you because I have an extra account that I don't want my spouse to know about. I want to just talk to you about that one. And as soon as he gets up and goes to the bathroom, I want us to talk about where that money goes. And then you all can talk about everything else when he comes back in. Is that okay? Can I do that with you?
Absolutely. I tell my clients, and just recently, I actually have a married couple that's basically getting divorced, and now it's like I'm personally met both of them. So now it's like I know some things that the wife don't know, and same thing with the husband. But I tell each of my clients, say anytime we actually speak is basically confidential, and basically, you know, me and Linda can actually lose our license if we actually do disclose any of that vital information. So I make sure that hey, anything that I talk about is definitely stays within the individual that I'm actually speaking with.
Did you want to add to that piece, Linda?
I just wanted to say that we've come across that quite often. And there's even been times where I had a case with clients where it was a new marriage and the husband was receiving a large settlement and wanted to ensure that, you know, the majority of that settlement stayed in as one of his assets primarily, and not joint assets. So we would say that in that case, make sure it's in an individual account, not a joint account, because premarital assets don't go into, you know, the marriage. But absolutely, you can have your own account. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's funny because when I worked at the bank, we always said that women had secret accounts, and that's for our shopping. But there's certainly nothing wrong with that. But once assets are titled, especially where they're joint with rights of survivor, that's where, you know, it becomes legally someone else's property as well. So titling of assets is very important. Beneficiaries are huge and should be reviewed on an annual basis. What Joel said with the will, I ask my clients, everyone, do they have a will? And if they don't have a will, I let them know that New York State has a will for them. So they should get a will. If they do say they have a will and it's been updated within the last 2 years, then that's fine. More than 2 years, I ask them to consider updating.
Right, so you dropped some really interesting terms in there. I want Naima and I to kind of walk through them together for the viewers, right? Because I think they hear these terms and some of the people say, oh, that was scary. What does she mean by right to survive? What does that word mean? And how does that apply to me, right? So Naima, I kind of want to digest some of that on your life insurance end. I come to you, I'm ready to have a consultation. You sit me down, you say, whoever you want to be with, great. If you break up, you divorce, They can keep that money if you want them to. Once the beneficiary's down, nothing to worry about. So I take you up on that. I now get $50,000. Does the state now say to me I've got to put some tax money down? Should I have to worry about that right now? And is that going to have some impact on what's going on with COVID and all of this? Is it 50K all mine?
Well, your life insurance benefit, the beneficiary will receive that benefit. It's just that simple. The beneficiary will receive that benefit. In regards to COVID, that's really important that you brought that up, because that was actually one of the things I wanted to get across to your viewers today, is that it is vital for people to make sure they have secured life insurance outside of their employer. Because if you are found to have COVID, if you test to have COVID, you will not be eligible at this time to receive any type of insurance, life insurance. They will decline you simply because of COVID. There's too many unknowns. They don't know if it's going to come back a second or a third time with a vengeance. And so it's vital. And I say outside of your employer because, as you stated earlier, so many people have been laid off and they have lost their jobs, and that means they have lost that insurance as well. It's not sitting there on the table or on your desk waiting for you to get back. You know, if you were to pass during this time, you have no coverage. And so it's very important that you do secure life insurance. I see a lot of people, and I know I've posted about it, you know, oh, I'm going to go get the antibody test, you know, and they're making it a family affair and taking their children. I think we had COVID in December because I had a really bad cold. Let's get tested. And I've posted on there, you know, please make sure you have your insurance, your life insurance for yourself and your children in order before you go and do that, because once it has been documented, you are not eligible for insurance. And you can get some very affordable insurance. You know, I looked at a policy for someone last week where it was her husband, her, and for a child rider, and it was $25, you know, for several, you know, for a good amount of insurance. And so that's something to definitely make sure is in place, you know, especially during these times with COVID.
It looks like we are at the bottom of the hour, which means I think it's time for our second giveaway. But I want to return back to that point, because I think the life insurance piece is so critical to what Linda and Terrence want to see you do, and ultimately what the circuits court will potentially require of you to go through its process. So I want to come back to that. But let's hear from Cousin Mia. Let's hear from Solar about who our next set of winners are for today.
Can we hear?
Yeah.
I can hear you. I don't have Solar. So.
Hello?
Oh, she's playing it now. Yeah, I hear the music.
All righty. So for group 2, we're going to announce 2 Buffalo Fire Department essential worker winners. You got Derek Norman and you got Rashied Russell. Woohoo to the Buffalo Fire Department essential workers.
What are they winning today? What are they getting from us?
Okay, let's rewind. Group 1, you're actually having lunch on us over at Empty Cup. And the 2 that I just announced, you're in group 2, you're going to have lunch delivered to you via Freddie J.
Beautiful. Yes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So for those of you watching, group 1, Empty Coffee Cup over at 80 Oak Grove, Hughes and Oak Grove, the corner. I believe Kat Tyler just joined us. If she did, I hope you will drop a comment. We love you and we support what you do. I will be out there to get some of those turkey ribs from you, of course. Freddie J, I think you know how we feel about you too. We send people there. We show up at the last minute asking for food. Thank you for supporting us and what we do. We love you guys. More importantly, we thank all the folks on the front line, putting their lives on the line every single moment of this health emergency, because none of us really know what's going on with it. One thing we're clear on is it's impacting everybody. And I see Solar at the top. Thank you for keeping us on task and looking beautiful while you do it. You're on mute now, but that's okay. You're on mute. So I want to go back to Naima because she brought up some really, really good points, right? She said when she is talking to her clients, she certainly hopes that they have done their homework before they test positive, right? And so what we know is 14215 hit very, very hard, high concentration of cases over there, high concentration of Black and brown individuals and families over there. We've got a two-parter over there. And these are some of the same folks who are going to need assistance from this panel. Some of them are watching and saying, hold up now, you tripping now. You telling me I've been at this job 10 years and I can lose my job and my health care, and you're not going to cut if I happen to die while this is all going on, you're not going to cover me?
That's accurate. That's accurate. And that's a lot of people have been put into that position due to the pandemic. And so it's very important that people always maintain insurance, even, prior to the pandemic, after the pandemic, is over and we have a vaccine. It is very important for people to carry life insurance outside of their employer, because you never know if you're going to lose your job. You never know if layoffs are going to occur. And again, why put something in someone else's hands that you can control yourself? And so you should carry your own life insurance. It's just added money that will go to assist your family, help maintain or protect that income that's going to be lost when you pass on. I have children. I'm the sole provider for my children. If something were to happen to me, it would be a huge burden, for my parents, or a financial burden. They would do it out of love, but it would cause a huge financial burden for my children, for my parents or my sister, to have to take on the responsibility of my daughter's college education, my baby girl's daycare expense and her daily expenses. My son, he's a teenager, and his size 12 sneaker expense. Like, those are all things that we don't think about, but those day-to-day expenses that we take care of as sole providers, as the financially responsible people of the household, we have to protect that. We're able to, with your life insurance, you're able to make sure that your children or your beneficiaries' life is able to continue without the financial trauma. They're going to have enough to deal with. They don't need the financial trauma. They don't need the GoFundMe funeral where they're begging people to donate, or they're forced to have to cremate because it costs less than a burial when they rather have a burial. In addition, on a positive side, because life insurance doesn't always have to be, have a grim outlook, is you want to make sure that you're able to leave some type of inheritance. You can totally change the trajectory of your family's life with a life insurance policy.
Right.
You can hold a $250,000 life insurance policy and leave that to your heirs. You've totally changed their life. You've made it so that they can go to college and not have to take student loans. You've made it so that they have some money for a startup business. You've allowed for them to have money in the bank that they can save, and not have to rob Peter to pay Paul. And you can, and through your wills and things like that you guys are discussing, you're able to structure it. If your children are not old enough, or you want to make sure that they responsibly spend it, you can set that up if you plan in ahead, which then gives you that peace of mind if you have it set up. Just think about, so many people watched Power. What did Ghost do? Ghost had a lot of money, and he had his life insurance and everything set up, but he also had his will in place so that it was structured. So Tyreek couldn't get that money till he went to college, so until he completed college. So, but that's real life. A lot of us were looking at Power like, oh, I wish I could, but you really can. You can be Ghost. With your life insurance policy, you can set up and make sure your children are taken care of, or your heirs, or whomever you leave your money to, as well as take care of any debts that you may have through your mortgage, your credit cards, any car loans, so that can all be taken care of. So that, if you're the husband and you're the breadwinner, and the wife maybe works part-time or doesn't make as much as you, or whoever is the breadwinner, if that income is lost, you possibly could lose your home for your spouse and your children. You can make sure that's totally paid off through your life insurance.
And now, Linda and Terrence, I do exactly what Naima says. I come to her, I get a life insurance policy for $250. Now what? I get the money, what am I supposed to do now?
So you're the beneficiary?
I'm the beneficiary. I've got the check. What, I can go on a few trips, right? I can buy some great clothes. Like, what am I supposed to do now? I've got the money. Now what?
Well, first, I just want to say that Naima is exactly right. It's so powerful to leave an inheritance. It's so powerful to actually sometimes set up an estate and transfer wealth. And this is what other cultures have been doing forever. And our culture has not. And we need to catch up. We need to be that generation that creates and generates that wealth. But I just wanted to share that I know all insurance companies are different. And right now with COVID-19, I actually asked our underwriters when this first started if we would entertain life insurance for anyone who's had the virus. And the answer is yes, as long as they're 30 days removed. So I have a case in right now for a gentleman in Buffalo, 43 years old, African American. He had the virus on April 2nd, and we waited until the first week of May. The application is in. He had to take a medical, and it's still in underwriting, but it's not necessarily a no for COVID-19. Now, all insurance companies are different. So some insurance companies will entertain clients with diabetes. Others don't like to insure that or underwrite that. So you kind of sometimes have to shop around. But I would say that, and I can't wait to see what the results of this case are. Because if you think about it, if he recovered, then obviously his immune system was strong. He lost a lot of weight. And another client of mine who got the virus, a female, she lost a lot of weight. So it's interesting, the times that we're in. But as far as you're the beneficiary, you just received $250,000. The first thing you should do is sit down and try to get some advice so that you don't just blow through it. And what I mean, don't spend it all. You also may not want, and come up with a plan. So have some short-term goals, some long-term goals. You know, you may want to get yourself a car or something that's reasonable, but you want to try to invest and make that money grow so you have that as an asset, and not once you spend it, it's gone. Yep. So the most important thing is to sit down, come up with a plan, think about yourself. What do you want to accomplish short term in the next 1 to 5 years, and then long term, and then sit down with an advisor, but have your own plan, have your own thoughts of what you want to accomplish, and then work together with someone so that you don't spend through it. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Terrence, I want to come to you before I go back to Joe on some of the circuit court stuff. Your client now comes your way with the 250. Am I coming to you and already saying, hey, I've already put some of it aside for my taxes? I'm hearing something about this living will versus the will. What makes some sense of that? What, aren't they the same thing? Why would I hear two different terms? What is that about?
Well, first thing I'll do, even once I, speak with them, I'll make sure they write, a couple of things down that they always wanted to buy, that, in a reasonable dollar amount, because at the same time, a lot of people don't come across a large sum of money like that. So I at least tell them, hey, write what you want to basically, buy with this lump sum of money. Go ahead and buy it. And now from that point, we're going to basically plan, as Linda mentioned, short-term, mid-term, and long-term, so we can actually make sure that the money is there. And when it comes to wills, living wills and things of that nature, I try not to basically speak of anything that I'm really not too well versed on. So that's when, of course, I'll reach out to my frat brother Joe, or even yourself, and have them speak to a lawyer in regards to wills. So my thing is, I just would more so refer that. But for the most part, is if they get any inheritance, have fun for a little bit. But now let's go ahead and start to basically do some type of financial planning. Now, what I'm going to do as a professional is more so check on them every year or so, because things change, as Joe mentioned before. Any type of life-changing events, you always want to sit down with your financial advisor, whether it's marriage, new job, a baby, whatever the case may be. We always follow with our clients at least once a year, and sometimes as often as every 6 months or so if they need to. But just having that open communication with our clients is basically the vital component to our business.
Beautiful. Thank you. Joe, I'm going to pose a question to you, and then I believe that we are 15 minutes out from closing. We have one more giveaway at that point, and then one at the final 5 o'clock hour. For you, Mr. Moore, I have a person that reaches out and they say, I really, oh my God, I'm sick. I'm going to pass away. I can feel it, but I want my spouse to be able to handle business for me in the meantime. Is that a good candidate for a power of attorney while they're still alive?
It would be. Oftentimes when you get your will done, you'll get a power of attorney done simultaneously. A lot of attorneys kind of offer those services, and also someone oversee your medical issues as well. But your spouse may be an excellent power of attorney, but it doesn't have to be your spouse. Ultimately, consistent with your will and your power of attorney, you want someone who understands your position on things, would act as if you would want to act in that case. And for various reasons, now that I think about it, because of the stress of the situation, your spouse may not always be the best power of attorney. They might have some other things going on, just dealing with maintaining the family and other things because you are in fact sick. So while a spouse probably is the first thing you might think about, it might make more sense if you still have your parents around, or if you have a close friend that truly understands or can execute whatever wishes you have, maybe a little bit removed from the fire, they might be a better choice. Rashied, I want to mention something because it may not come up, but some of the other panelists spoke on it, and it's how you deal with your spouse. And actually, funny enough, you and I spoke about it recently, so I'll touch on that. In a scenario, you have this sometimes, obviously, people are separated, right? You know, people who are married, they're no longer together, they don't live in the same house, but they still are legally married on paper. And the question becomes, if you were to pass away, what would happen? Now, with very, very few exceptions, no uncertain terms, if you are still legally married to someone, they are entitled to a portion of your assets. The law says this: either $50,000, the first $50,000 of your assets, or 1/3, whichever is the larger amount. So, for instance, if you have about $75,000 worth of assets to transfer over when you pass away, and you have 2 kids, and technically you're still married to a guy, but you guys are separated, that gentleman is entitled to the first $50,000. The rest, that 25, is going to be split between the children. If you have an estate for $1 million, 1/3 of that, $333,000, etc., is going to go toward that spouse, and then the rest. Now, mind you, for all this stuff, your creditors are going to have to be paid first, so all that's going to come off the top, funeral, etc., etc. But either the first $50,000 or 1/3 is going to have to be paid to the spouse. So I say that to say, if you are no longer involved with an individual, don't just sit on that situation. You really do need to get the legal ramifications or nullifications on paper in terms of divorce, because otherwise they're going to have a right to some of your assets. And you'd be surprised. People haven't been around for a long time, and then they come in, and honestly their moral compass may be a little bit off. They go in and they come in and get their money. There's nothing the court or anyone else can do about it. They're entitled to that money. And they exercise what's called the right of election, and they'll get their money. So I just wanted to mention that so your viewers know.
I appreciate that. Now, I actually want to come back to that point right after this giveaway. So we'll turn our attention over to Cousin Mia and to Solar. And then I want to dig deeper in what this surviving spouse language, right, this notion looks like and feels like. Thank you. Please. Solar, go right ahead. I think you're on mute, though.
All righty then. We know the beat, guys.
All right.
I have 3 more names. So let's do 2 and let's surprise one lucky somebody.
Let's do it. Let's do
that. Name number 2, Group 2, name number 1, is going to be Michael Norworth Jr., and he is a part of the Buffalo Police Department. And then we also have Mo Badger, who is a part of the Buffalo Police Department. So congratulations, Michael and Mo. You two will receive lunch from Freddie J's. It'll be delivered right to you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think there might be an update from Naima before I come back to Joel. So I think that her and Terrence have an announcement that they'd like to share at this moment. Please.
Naima, did you want to do it or did you want me to do it?
You can go ahead.
Okay. Basically, I'm not for sure like how many people is actually on this live feed, but I just wanted to know, well, let everyone know that basically me and Naima will decide everyone that's actually on this call. We're basically going to provide them a free financial needs analysis. And it's more so like a snapshot of where they're at right now. Once we sit down with you, whether it's going to be through Zoom or through face-to-face, we'll basically see exactly, hey, what do you want to be, or not what you want to be, but basically what dollar amount or what do you want to see yourself in the next 20 to 30 years or so. And from that point, we're basically going to input that data into our system. And it's more so going to give you a snapshot and show you exactly where you're at right now and where you need to go, but basically going to give you a roadmap on how to actually get there. And it's basically called the financial needs analysis. So if anyone basically wants that information, I would definitely say, please take advantage of it because it's free. Text Naima's number. And I don't know if you actually have the number on the screen, but the number is 716-253-1734 and just text free FNA.
Beautiful. There's Naima's information. I'm sure that Nini will go ahead and put that information in the comments. I know that Linda Banks has expressed the same thing to me, so I will certainly give her an opportunity to share how they can access her and reach her as well.
All right, yes, the information is posted for both Terrence and Naima, email address and telephone numbers.
And we'll get Linda's down in the comments as well. Okay, so
yes, Linda is up. Yes.
Fantastic. So I want to come back to Joe, and thank you for that. I appreciate it. Joe, the surviving spouse. So let's just have this moment for the viewers watching. A viewer says in the comments, I left my husband in 1998. We have no joint accounts. We don't live together. We don't even talk to each other anymore. And I passed away. I have kids. I want my stuff going to my kids. You going to have the nerve to tell me he can show up today and get some of my stuff? You got to be joking, right?
Not joking at all. I'm an attorney. I don't joke. We don't have humor. We don't have sense of humor. So that's the way it is. That's what the law says, unfortunately. But what it is in principle is a way to protect your spouse, right? What you would hate as a spouse, I imagine, would be to spend years, decades potentially with this individual, not see their will because the spouse is not necessarily entitled to see someone's will. That individual passes away, you open up the will and you find that your spouse has made no provision for you whatsoever. Wouldn't that be a horrific outcome? And so the law steps in and it says, we won't allow that. That can't happen. But it's incumbent upon you, therefore, to part ways with your spouse if you're no longer in a spousal type relationship, so that's not an eventuality that applies to you. So that's why it's there. It's there to protect the spouse. But if you're separated and you're no longer together, you really do need to take those steps because, as I said before, people will come in and take that despite presumably not being entitled to it.
And so even if it's been 20 plus years, that doesn't matter. Like, you're not going to look at bless you. You're not going to look at that at your court and say, of course they're not together. It's been 20 years. That's obvious. You're not going to, why won't you do that? Tell me that.
Case law, the law it up to be very difficult because you don't want people skirting the situation. You don't want people to be able to once again, for lack of a better term, the way we learned this when we're about to take the bar, Rashied, I'm sure you remember, you can't screw your spouse in death. That's what they tell us to remember it on the bar. You can't screw your spouse in death. And so the law makes it very difficult to casually disregard what is a marriage on paper. You have to take those steps. Let me say this too, because it may not come up, just as a plug for the court. We're down here, 92 Franklin. We have a help desk, and the help desk will get you all started on a bunch of stuff. You don't, shout out to all my attorneys out there, you don't always have to go to an attorney for everything. At least sometimes you can get the ball rolling. So, and it may be advantageous to certainly go to an attorney. Some of the stuff can get very complex, and some of this language can really throw you off. However, we can kind of point you in the right direction sometimes. So at least when you go to an attorney, you'll know kind of what to expect and what he or she is talking about. So feel free to reach out to us. My email is up there. The help desk's number is 845-2560. That's 845-2560. The judge is Judge Asa Mosey, wonderful judge. And we're really here to help you all. You all pay our salaries, and we are here to service you. So feel free.
And so we can take that a step further, and thank you, Attorney Moore, for that. When someone goes to that help desk for assistance, it's free of charge. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. So
absolutely.
For those watching, if you're saying, well, that's just another expense for me, and you guys are already telling me about life insurance, this financial plan. If you go to that help desk during those hours and they're able to assist, they do so free of charge. So I want to come back to Linda on this one. Linda, the individual with the 25 or 250,000 is now coming your way. I'm coming to you for the first time. How should I do this? Do I want to call for a meeting or an appointment? Do I just show up with my check and give it to you? What am I doing? I don't get this.
Yeah, well, don't show up now. Our offices are still closed. I'm working from home. So we haven't gotten the green light to go in. I think we're gonna be looking at that soon though. The best thing to do is to call and schedule an appointment. Your time is just as important as mine, and we want to make sure that that time is set and not interrupted by anything else. So we will schedule normally, an hour for the first meeting. And at the first meeting, it is really just a meet and greet, get to know what your concerns are, answer any questions that you have. Of course, there's no cost, no commitment other than your time. And then from there, we start the process where we would gather some data, just like Terrence and Naima, and then come up with either a plan or give you some recommendations. So it's pretty simple, but you always want to schedule an appointment or a meeting with a professional.
Thank you for that. I know how important all of you are, and I appreciate you giving me a full hour of your time, given all that we have going on. As we take this show out, there's a couple kind of housekeeping things we want to do, but before I touch on those, I want to come to each of you, and I'd like to leave the viewers with some inspiration. Some of them are feeling the effects of the COVID emergency. Some of them are watching the news and saying, my president is not exactly what I expect in this moment. Some of them are watching the news in other cities and saying, it seems like certain lives are not given the same value as other lives, and here's the proof. So I want to leave them with a roadmap and some hope at the same time, so that they know, here are the things that I should be thinking about as we end this live video. And I think I'd love to hear Naima start us off on that journey.
Okay, I would just like to say, don't be discouraged. Be empowered through your decisions that you make and your preparations for your family. You don't know when your final, when the Lord is going to, call you home. So, but what you do know is you can prepare yourself and have peace of mind so that when that occurs, your family is taken care of. And that's what all of this conversation is about today, making sure you have peace of mind now so that your family is taken care of and has a peaceful life after you pass.
And just one more time for the viewers, Naima, here is how they reach me.
You can reach me by calling or texting 253-1734, 253-1734, or email info.inspirewealth@gmail.com.
Beautiful. And her information's up in the left-hand corner. I'm sure Nini will drop that information once again in the comment section. I want to turn our attention over to Joe Moore, who has also joined us for the full time. And Joe, again, is one of the attorneys over at Erie County Surrogates Court, 92 Franklin. He will be there to assist with questions related to the transition. Once that transition happens, he will be there to help guide you through the process or refer you to people who can do that. Joe, as you conclude, if there are viewers that have wills and they're saying, hey, I've got a will, what should I do something with it before I pass away? Do you want to just kind of give them some information about the safekeeping?
Absolutely. So each county in the state is different, but for Erie County, which I assume most of you are in, we have a safe down here. We will hold on to your will. I have a will here from like 1898. We never destroy them. So give us your will, and as you update them, remove your old will and put your new will in. There's a process for that, but that's very important. Legally, I won't get into it. But we safekeep it. And the reason why you want to give it to us as opposed to leave it with your attorney or maybe in a safe, things happen to houses, fires occur, et cetera, et cetera. You may leave it with your attorney. Once again, 50 years later, your attorney may not be around and you have no idea what's happened in his files. We will keep it in our safe here, and it will be available to your next of kin when you pass away. So you really do want to bring it down. There is no charge for that service of keeping it. So bring it on down here to us and let us keep an eye on it for you.
And again, that's how you reach Joe Moore. His email address is listed there. Joe, if you just want to share a good contact phone number, if there is one, this would be a great time to do that. Sure.
So my office number is 845-2571, and our help desk number, once again, is 845-2560. I want to encourage us, and I think I probably speak for most of the panelists. We all have in-depth details to our jobs, and you may not be familiar with everything we're talking about. Don't be bashful. Just think to yourself, ask. I'm not sure exactly what to ask, but reach out and ask, and we'll point you probably in the right direction, or we may be able to do whatever needs to be done for ourselves. So don't get confused with all this language and these different things and think this is overwhelming. The journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step, right? Just reach out and ask, and we'll get the ball rolling from our end. So.
Beautiful. Before I turn attention to Linda Banks, Naima, I believe there's a question for you, and the question is, there are two possible pages to follow you on. Apparently one of them has several hundred likes and one maybe does not. The question is, which page should I follow? Is there
on Facebook?
On Facebook. I think the specific question is, they are coming up with two different pages that are connected to you. Which one are you affiliated with?
That's news to me.
Okay.
Let me look at that while everyone else discusses, and I'll get right back to you. Somebody has probably cloned my page.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll turn to Linda Banks. Linda, you and I have worked together for years. I swear by you. I swear by Terrence. Leave the viewers with some motivation to come and see one or both of you, and some insight about how they stay strong during this COVID health emergency. What can they do?
Absolutely. So one of the things during this time I think is important is that we try to individually do some physical activity every day, 30 minutes. We've got the time now. I've got a treadmill in the basement that's no longer collecting dust since I'm working from home. But if you can incorporate, some form of activity every day, what we do know about this, virus is that if you're unhealthy, sometimes the outcomes are not favorable. So I'm going to encourage everyone to take some time not to only look at your finances, but look at your health, and take care of yourself, take care of your families, drink lots of water. When I do have clients applying for life insurance, I tell them to drink water, just drink lots of water. So, but as far as encouraging for the market, this market, you can't really time it, But what we do know is that in the long run, every little bit, whether it's $25 a week or $50 a month, I've got clients doing $50 a month for college savings plans. That money adds up, and it does add up quickly. So think about just starting small steps to get to your goal and work with someone to help you. But I'm very encouraged. I know we're going to be stronger as a people, as a country. We're going to get through this, but we got to take care of ourselves and our families.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Naima, did you want to respond to that question from earlier?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to find a separate post, but if you just Google, or not Google, if you look up my name on Facebook, as it's spelled in the announcement on this broadcast, the most recent post that I made was for this show. So it is your flyer that I shared. That's my most recent post. I have on a blue dress in front of Christmas tree from the Ice Blue Party. So that would be me. I don't know how else to help with that because I wasn't able to find another page.
Okay, I think that was extremely helpful.
Okay.
And of course, we appreciate all of the support we got for that event. And God willing, we will be doing it again in the future. Mr. Terrence, I think, is going to take us out. He will be the last panelist to give us some good encouragement. And of course, he will share for us how we get in contact with him if we want to schedule a consultation or other steps forward. Okay, please.
Yes. One thing is actually a quote. It says, knowledge is power. I believe that's a lie because there's actually applied knowledge. That's actually the real power. So the thing is, whether it's Naima or Linda, even myself, get the knowledge from one of us. So therefore, you can actually be educated about all of this stuff, because if you really think about it, at the end of the day, it's more so about financial literacy. And I know for myself, it's like I'm a product of the Buffalo Public Schools, and even all my college education is actually from the Buffalo area, but no one taught me about financial literacy, and I believe they still don't do that. So get the knowledge. So from that point, once you get all the knowledge, you now can actually pass down that knowledge to your loved ones as well, and break that curse of being financial literate. And to basically give some people hope, if anyone actually lost their job due to the pandemic situation, our company is rapidly hiring. So if anyone is actually looking for a stream of income at this particular time, see myself or Naima, and hopefully we can basically put you in a better situation. So when you do go back to work, you'll be in a better position than where you actually first started off at. And just acquire as many skills as you can. So when you do go back, you're basically a better person. So use this time, your downtime, and take advantage of it, because I don't know, some companies are still paying you, but at the same time, a lot of this information is actually out there free. So take advantage of all the panelists, their expertise. And like I said, all of our services are free. So just take advantage of it, because it's not like we're saying, hey, we're going to give you this knowledge and now you owe us, some money. If anything, I may want some lunch, but other than that, I mean, the services is free. But please just take advantage of the information. And we actually have all from different backgrounds, but everyone can point you in the right direction. So myself, Joe, Linda, Naima, thank you for your time. And even yourself, just reach out to us and, take advantage of our talents.
So I want to give my panel, who did an excellent job today, a wonderful round of applause. All of the viewers watching, I hope that you got from this what you expected and what you need. They have left their information, so you are empowered to contact them directly. If for some reason you missed their contact information, take a look down in the comments. I'm sure that my niece Nini will also put my information in the comments in case any of you need to reach me directly. As we conclude, I want to turn the floor over to Cousin Mia and to Solar one more time. I think we have one last giveaway, correct? Or did you do the whole list?
Yes, we do. We have there's the 10th name.
Okay.
And then because there were 10 essential workers, I'll just go over Facebook, RHM guests. Help us let these people know. Some of them are busy working and they are not even aware that they are essential workers winners, and we want to just make sure that they know. So our 10th essential worker winner for week 4 is Lieutenant Brad Pitts Jr. Lieutenant Brad Pitts Jr. will be the 10th one, and I'm going to go, he's in that group too. So I'll start with group 1. Remember, group 1, your meals will be over at Empty Cup. And it starts off with Darren McDuffie, Buffalo Police Department, Tyrell J. Edwards, Buffalo Fire Department, Angelo Threets, Buffalo Police Department, Derek Floyd, Buffalo Police Department, Hakeem Hicks, Buffalo Fire Department, and Quincelil Saunders, Buffalo Police Department. Group 2, you can contact Freddie J's. Your meals can be delivered to you. Derek Norman, Buffalo Fire Department, Lieutenant Brad Pitts, Buffalo Police Department, Mo Badger, Buffalo Police Department, Michael Norwood Jr., Buffalo Police Department, and Rashad Russell, Buffalo Fire Department. Thank you all for everything that you do. We appreciate you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And as I close, okay, just one brief moment as I close. I can't thank you all enough for all that you have done today and all that you do for this community. This is hard work. Sometimes it is thankless work, but we know that in the aggregate, what you're doing can change not just the culture of the household, but the culture of the community. So I really appreciate all that you guys have done. And I know the viewers appreciate it. If I could give them any advice and any encouragement, I'd say keep a routine. Keep a routine so that you can hit your benchmarks and stay focused. I think if you can wake up for that week and say, here are the 3 priorities that I have. In my case, I said, I want to learn Spanish, I want to save this amount, and I want to work out at least 4 to 5 times this week, right? And so if you have a win every week, keeps you motivated to win some more. And before you know it, the emergency is behind you and your family, but you've come out a lot stronger. I encourage you to reach out to this panel. Super accessible, very helpful group. Information down in the link. All of our essential workers, we love and thank you for all that you do for us. Could not do it alone. And for those who have stood by us for not just this show, but the entire series, we love and we thank you. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor, information down below, contact me. We will look forward to continuing to partner with you so that we can all stay safe, stay strong, and come out on top. Thank you for your time. I love you, and I'll see you soon. Bye.